team that made a giant trade and that they said, no, we're not going to rebuild. We want to win now are the Sacramento Kings. These guys, they said, very controversial it was this trade because only a 21-year-old, very promising Tyrese Halliburton was traded with Buddy Hield, who's a guy who's been we've all known has been out for like a year and a half. He hasn't been emotionally on the Kings. Now they're on the Pacers, and the Kings have Domantas Sabonis. So it's taken a few effects right away. Rashad Holmes is not the starting center. They're choosing Sabonis, and they're just buying all in with Fox and Sabonis. So this offseason, what do you think they need to do to maybe do like a Bulls reload where they're like, hey, let's take on all this talent and start being good? What do you think they need to start with?
Well, I think you're going to have to find another decent forward at either the power forward or the small forward position. Harrison Barnes is pretty good, but maybe another guy alongside him, some kind of stretch for. Like, obviously, the Cavaliers are having some good success with a couple of big men, and they are rocking it with Markkanen, Allen, and Mobley. And then you've got other teams seeing success like that. I would like to see them maybe bring in another big man. I don't know who specifically. Yeah. Maybe a Jeremy Grant. Honestly, could be solid. I don't know what they'd have to give up to do it. Like
probably Barnes. I think I don't know what other contracts they have right off the top of my head.
I mean, they're obviously willing to give up guys, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, they can always use more shooting.
Oh yeah,
you can sign that with some smaller contracts. But off the top of my head, I mean, there's not a lot of like notable free agents this year.
No, it's a pretty big veteran. I think a lot of playoff teams or fringe playoff teams are going to be signing veterans. Like I pre-mentioned Ricky Rubio, who I think would be a nice backup point guard for these guys here. I mean, they're 16th in offense, 19th in defense. Immediately, defense is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking they got to get some more defensive big men, especially next to Sabonis. It'd also be nice to have a shooter. I think Mo Bamba would be a decent fit to even just try, especially next to a star like Sabonis. I think he can spread the floor. He's a shot blocker. I think that would kind of push Sabonis back to the 4, or maybe you still play him at the all it is defensive position that you change. So
yeah.
But I think their offense will get better. I mean, it's 16th now, but they just made the trade 5 games ago. So Sabonis is new. I think he's obviously going to help out their offense. I think if De'Aaron Fox returns to form of last few years, which I think he will now that Tyrese is off the team and getting less and the ball's back in Fox's hands, I think he's going to go back up to that 24 point per game score that we know. With Holmes moved to the bench, actually Holmes is probably the contract that'll get moved. If in like a trade like for Jeremy Grant or whichever.
Because if they were trying to get a new big man, it would be replacing his minutes. They'd be trying to get someone better or different style of skill set. Because Jeremy Grant and Rashawn Holmes, totally different players, obviously, play different positions. But yeah, I mean, even like me, I don't know. John Collins is probably a big ask.
Yeah, I think it's possible though.
Julius Randle.
I mean, that after the last game, it's certainly possible. I don't know if Julius. I mean, the shooting would help. He's been inconsistent this year. The playmaking would help a lot. It's just the defense. I don't know about the defensive duo next to Randle and Sabonis. That does buy into Sabonis going to the center, and that's I'm willing to look at that experiment more because the Pacers. I think they were better with him as center than Miles Turner. Yeah. Certainly shooting, I think, is the direction they should move in. Defense and shoot. I actually lean more towards shooting than defense. I think all it takes is the right coach to put together a defensive scheme. Look at what the Suns did. I mean, none of those players you could look at were good at defense before Chris Paul and Monty got there. But I think a few of the guys worth getting. I mean, vet leadership would be nice if they're trying to make a playoff push. Is like Thad Young. Obviously, I always mention him. I think he's a really nice vet. I think he would be nice to have on this team. Kyle Anderson, Joe Ingles, TJ Warren would be a great fit, actually. I would love to see that happen. I think all these guys shooting Covington, help with defense, sure. But Kyle Anderson actually would be great.
Players like Kyle Anderson would be solid. I think like TJ Warren is probably the best name I heard you say there.
I don't know if they have I don't think they have the cap to sign TJ Warren though. Maybe Kyle Anderson they can slip in like a
They'll
sign and trade or something.
probably have to free up some space.
Yeah. Actually, this Kyle Anderson thing, I mean, if we jump down this rabbit hole, you get shooting, obviously you get decent defense. He'd probably fit next to Sabonis. Be slow. You wouldn't be as your pace would probably go down. Both Sabonis and him would slow down a little bit. But I mean, Fox is also the fastest player in the NBA, so that kind of offsets it with pushing the offense. And I think the Grizzlies would be open to getting a guy like Holmes. I mean, that would push either Adams goes to the Kings or something, or even if they keep Adams as a backup big, or who. I mean, Adams has been great this season, especially as of late. So I don't know, but I think the Grizzlies would be interested in Holmes.
Yeah, I could see it. I mean, his mentality would work there. Good run and gun player, but Adams is a lot better of a defender.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think that's been valuable for the Grizzlies. I could see them looking at Holmes as like a really solid backup player for them.
Yeah.
But I don't know if Rashawn Holmes sees himself as a backup player.
Yeah, I don't know. I do see, now that you mentioned, I think he would be a great backup big for really any playoff team. I think he's a prototypical great backup big. I mean, maybe the salary is too large, obviously, for that backup position, but
it depends. I mean, it's only like 12, 14 mil. It's nothing.
I think it's 14.
Nothing crazy. I mean,
no,
other big men.
It's workable.
Big men getting that, but it's also like, well, it only makes sense for some teams that don't have great starting centers, and power forwards, so that you can rotate them more. Like a team like the Timberwolves or the 76ers don't need a guy like him, because like you play him for like 20 minutes and he's going to be unhappy because that's not enough time.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, that's all politics aside, but I think the last thing I would like these Kings to do in the offseason is buy in, be like, all right, we have our shooting guard, Davion Mitchell. I think he's the answer at the 2. I think he's a great fit. He's starting to shoot a lot better. Obviously, he's a lockdown defender. That's what they drafted him for. I think that's what you need next to Fox. Yeah. He's not the best defender, but I think you buy in on him. He's your 2. You just figure out what to do with the forwards.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're already bought in on him. Like, trading Halliburton was the clear sign of that.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I just like to keep this trend. Like, even if you see a shiny shooting guard out there on in the small trade market, I say trust in Mitchell. I think he's a great fit. I think he's doing great as of late too. So I think.
What if James Harden says, "I want to go to"?
All right. That's well, obviously.
Joel Embiid is not a winner. I need to go play with De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis.
Yeah, that's not happening. But you get my point. I think he's going to be a bright young player. I mean, he is a bright young player, and I'm super excited. He makes I really like watching defense, and he just makes it so entertaining. Like, he makes defense exciting. Like guys like him and Lou Dort, they're like the underdog defenders. It's just cool to watch these guys lock down all these NBA stars. But
for sure, no, I mean, it's cool when they come in at a young age and they're able to lock up a guy who's been in the league for 8-10 years. It's fun to watch. It's like, oh dang, it's like you're not as immortal as you thought you were.
Yeah, but let's
Hey guys, be sure to like and subscribe this video if you loved it, and give us a hateful comment if you did not like it, since they got rid of the dislike feature on YouTube.